Hey everyone, it's Jacqueline. It has been a while since I've made a new video. Officially, I've done lots of shorts and, I've made lots of posts in the community posts, but it's been a long time since I've made an official video with the topic. And I think, well, lately I've been incredibly busy. I'm trying to expand on my salon business, and one of the days during the week I actually go to a couple of my clients. They have their own salon built into their house, and I do their hair on location. These clients are incredibly wealthy, we'll say that. They have a full gym. I think their house is like 22,000 square feet. It's ridiculous. And I'm there every week doing their hair. So that takes up one whole day of my work week. And then in the salon, I've been expanding clientele and taking more people and trying to and do that. Haven't been gaming very much, not very much at all. So if you guys have been waiting for me to play games, I'm sorry. I have been just working and the gym, of course. I've been in the gym really, really intense lately. But I wanted to talk about a subject today that I think it goes along with the Buddhism that I study, and I think it actually has a lot to do with being trans. And I discussed in, I think it was my last video, it was the mind and being transgender and how the mind works versus the body or the physical body and whatnot. And in Buddhism, they believe you can train your mind and strengthen your mind through meditation and practices, and how your body is just simply a vessel that you're in. But today, and you can watch that video, it's the one I made right before this one, but today I wanted to talk about expectations. And I think this one is one in particular where it's taken me years to really figure this one out in my daily life and dealing with people, coworkers, being trans, friends, family. Everyone that you interact with, we have expectations. And I think a lot of those expectations are a reflection of our own mind. And we want to find things that validate a viewpoint that we already believed beforehand. So, like, for example, when I first came out to my family that I was trans, I came out that I think at 17, I moved out because I wore makeup, which sounds crazy now. In terms of like I have siblings that have done crazier things than that, by far crazier, especially in their adult life. So wearing makeup was the least of my parents' concern. But at the time, it was very controversial and it was very different and whatnot. So they saw it as an issue or they just didn't understand. But I had expectations of them to understand what it was that I was doing. And of course, they didn't understand because my world, my mind, and the way I viewed the world was completely different. And then you also have parents' expectations of their children and how it impacts the way they had a vision for their life and the world that they live in. And that's where the conflict usually comes in. They expect you to be a certain way. They have expectations when they get married. They have expectations when they have a child. We do gender reveal parties, for God's sake. It's a boy or a girl, and then down the road you find out they're trans, and you've built this thing up over all these years that your child is a boy, and in fact they could be a girl, or they might be an intersex child, or something like that. So it's definitely, or you think you're gay, and then you come to find out that you're actually, you're pansexual, or you're fluid, or you think like me. I had expectations of myself being a trans woman, and I felt very comfortable being feminine. But as I've aged, I've really embraced my masculinity, and I watch a lot of trans women. They have those expectations of being a trans woman, and they go through so much to try and be a woman and do everything that they can to just have a normal life, and they end up doing so much to do it, and it doesn't really change anything. If someone knows you're trans, they're going to treat you a certain way. Sometimes I'm surprised. Sometimes I'm very surprised by people, that you least expect to accept you, that suddenly just don't care. They don't care at all. They understand you right from the get-go. And then some like I had very much expectations of my mother when I was growing up. She's was always very open-minded, a hippie. I used to wear clothes when I was a kid, like her giant tie-dye shirts that I still own, actually. And I used to wear those because I thought it was so cool, you know. And she was very supportive of me expressing myself that way. But the moment I came out that I was a trans woman, it really messed with her head, and I don't think she really liked it. So, and we had a lot of conflict over that. But I had expectations of her, and when they don't respond that way, you almost vilify them. And you see them, you're wrong, you should accept me, you should, you know. And see, the thing is with me, I've reached a point in my life where I don't care if someone thinks I'm a man. I don't care if someone thinks that, whatever they think doesn't really matter. But there are things that are real, like healthcare and science and therapy and studies and all of those things, psychology and everything supports, say like trans women, they support them. You can back up with studies. But the thing is, people will believe whatever conspiracy they want. You know, TERFs believe it's, you know, big pharma. And trust me, I believe, you know, the pharmaceutical companies are evil with their money and their costs. But when it comes to being trans, they don't really make money off of it. It's not like, I mean, my hormones and everything are $5 a month, you know? It's $5 a month for me to transition and live my life. It's nothing. And trans people are what, 2% of the population or under? And they believe that that is going to make the pharmaceutical companies massive, massive amounts of money. So they have to believe there's some kind of trick somewhere. But also, if you look at it from a TERF's perspective, most of them are very anti-men, like across the board. They believe men are evil, that they're just sex fiends and things like that to attack women. And they do things. They have to believe that trans women are skulking around in bathrooms because they're just men pretending to be women for their sexual kinks. They have to believe that because they're so entrenched in their expectation of men that they don't seem to understand that the whole point of feminism was equality. And they don't really want equality. They want lines to be drawn. They actually want to, they enjoy the oppression, which is really fucked up when you really think about it. It's almost like they have expectations of that oppression. And that's sad. It's very sad. And it's terrible. And they will find whatever they can find on the internet to back them up, to support their claims or whatever it is. And so when it comes to my world and what I expect of people, I have very much over the years realized with friends and family, coworkers, employers, that there's expectations I had that were just awful. A lot of times it's where I live in the South, or it's very specific things that people, the things that matter to people. That's where it gets interesting. So I've had lots of coworkers in the past that have been very supportive and very like great and wonderful. But then you find out there's always somewhere in the sand where they draw a line with trans people. Like for example, I had a gay coworker who, a gay man who just believed that men who slept with me were just closeted men. But not a single gay man. Now they might. Now things have changed because gender is very different now, and gay men are all about femininity and masculinity and blurring the two. And trans men are very popular in gay male porn. It's actually the fastest growing pornography there is trans men pornography viewed by gay men. And I find that very interesting because, you know, a lot of the trans men porn, they don't have male genitalia, but you would think that that would matter. So it's fascinating to me when it comes to stuff like that. But of course, they're still men. So in my case, I had a gay coworker who, you know, was sleeping with these men, and they were very handsome, very good looking. One of them in particular was really hot, and he actually kind of semi-stalked me at my old salon. And my old coworker ended up getting him as a client because I refused to talk to this guy. And this guy would come in and started getting his hair done by him. But this gay guy was convinced that he could get a piece of this dude. And he couldn't. The guy just would not reciprocate. And it was frustrating him so much that he had to find a rhyme or a reason. And so then he had to believe that the dude's just closeted and I'm more accessible. And he just had to believe that. And he actually told me this. He was like, these men are just closeted. And I was like, so I asked him, the stalker's name was Adam. And I asked him, I was like, so how's it going with Adam? Have you slept with him yet? And he got so upset because they've hung out. They had like smoked weed together. They had partied together, got drunk. And this guy never ever made a move on him, or he never even allowed him to make a move. And he just didn't understand why his theory wasn't landing. And I was like, well, maybe because he just particularly likes trans women. I mean, I have breasts under here. My body is shaped differently from years of hormones. Trans women's genitalia is different regardless if you have surgery or not. It changes through hormone therapy. So maybe that in particular is just what this man wants. I think this dude's, I think he's got a wife now, and he's married to a woman, and he's happy with her, supposedly. So that's something that, so when that happened, that conversation, there was a coworker of mine who was very supportive of trans women. I mean, she would always talk about documentaries she watched and everything she would do and where she was, but she was agreeing with him. And this was a good friend of mine. She was actually saying, oh, well, they are causing you not, they are going for your specific genitalia, which is male, and so that makes them gay. And she was saying this, and I'm just staring at her, and I was like, so why don't gay men pursue me? Now things, like I said earlier, have changed. But at that time, 5-6 years ago, probably 7 years ago, it was very black and white, and she was saying that the men who find me attractive are closeted. But I was like, a lot of them don't know. And the majority of the dates I used to go on, I wouldn't tell them I was trans. It's just wild now that I think about it, because I've been transitioning so long. And I wouldn't tell them, and whenever I would tell them, they'd be like, well, I can have sex with you, but I can't date you. And these men didn't even know, like they had no clue. And I'm like, but you would sleep with me. And so in their terms, men really like it. It's shocking at how many straight men don't know. Then when they find out, they're all about having sex with you, but they can't battle that internal battle. Not to be super sexist against men, but a lot of men can't handle that sort of internal exploration. They have expectations from society of what a man is. They strong and they fix things and all that stuff, but they fix stuff. But it's like stereotypes. But at the end of the day, like, I can't tell you how many men have, like last year, I was sleeping with that guy just for fun, and the chemistry was so rich. I mean, this guy, him and I just instantly matched. But it kind of messed me up in the head, because I always believed in my life that if you made someone with that level of chemistry, and it's very rare, there's only been 3 people in my whole life I've had this chemistry with, and I refuse to go below any other chemistry, so I don't just casually date people. I have to have this level of chemistry. Only 3 people I've had this with. It's my ex-girlfriend, and it is this guy named Andrew in California when I was younger, and this guy. And this guy is so into it, but he can't date because he is 6'5", 255 pounds, giant muscle bro, gym dude, has all his manly friends, he's conservative, and he can't do it because he knows his family would make fun of him. Right now, the political agenda is like that he would be dating a groomer, that you can't bring the children around him, that that's not really a woman, and he doesn't feel like dealing with that. He just wishes he could just date me, but he can't. And it's quite clear that that's the way it is. But that man is he just likes sex. But I require dating. I can't be with someone I can't date, especially with that level of chemistry. And the reason he messed me up, in particular, is because I always believed when 2 people find that chemistry, there's no way you could turn it down. And the fact that he can't date me, but he would totally sleep with me, really messed with my head. I think it made me question a lot of things. I think it really threw me straight into a masculine aesthetic, because it's my rebellion against expectations of men on me. And so, because I was really expecting men to, I mean, I can't tell you how many married men that I know, coworkers, husbands, stuff like that hit on me secretly. I can't tell you how many. And over the years, it's horrifying. But I have expectations of them, and then I get disappointed because they can't date me. So I think the whole point that I'm trying to say is expectations, take it with a grain of salt. Because like my people, they will be very quick to cancel someone because we have expectations. TERFs are very quick to cancel all trans people because they have expectations of men. They never talk about trans men because they believe it's like, they have to believe that they're women that have chosen to be a man because they don't want to be oppressed anymore. They have to believe that that is the reason why. It's not. They suffer gender dysphoria just like trans women suffer, and they transition to make themselves personally happy. It's proven that that's what they're going through. People don't just do all that stuff to them, and plus it doesn't make their life easier being a trans man. It makes your life, I mean, imagine how difficult it is to be a trans man going to men's bathrooms and having to deal with all that shit. And the same thing with trans women. I mean, it's the same thing. It's just men don't really give a shit in that situation. The reason women care is because they have to believe that men are villains. I don't believe men are villains. I think that we're all just a reaction of the society we live in. We are, but I believe expectations are a projection of our mind onto the world, and we have expectations of others. I mean, so my thing is, instead of questioning, saying, you need to accept me, you need to do this, you need to be more open-minded, you need to pay attention to the facts, I try my best not to do that, but what I do is try and figure out why that individual is so invested in this specific subject. I love to like pry it apart and break down. So you see the facts, you see what's going on, and then you sit down with them and you try and figure out why they're like this. And it never fails. It's always some kind of stereotype that they've latched themselves onto and attached to it. And sure, these things do happen. Lots of times stereotypes are very real. I mean, it's like, more than likely, a lot of times stereotypes are very accurate on a group of people, but it's not always accurate. And a lot of times it is inaccurate. So you can't rely on stereotypes to dictate who and what a person is. You base it on the moment that it happens. I've had lots of disappointments over friends and coworkers over the years. I had a coworker who got very upset with me because I used to purchase items like food for the salon space that I was in for my clientele, and just like a large kind of like bowl full of snacks and drinks for clients to snack on. But then she would never pack her lunches. And I was paying for all of this myself. And also, even if I was reimbursed, I was still having to take time out of my day to go and get it all. You know what I'm saying? So I would have to go pick it up, the drinks and everything, and unpack them and stock them. But I found that she was actually, herself, was eating and drinking all of them. So after like a couple of months of this, I was like, hey, don't take this personally, but let's just try and keep those for the clients. This girl was on such a rampage to cancel me. And of course, the first thing cisgender women do when a trans woman calls them out on bad habits that they have or something like that, something very legit, is to vilify their transition. And in nowadays, people listen to so many podcasts, they very quickly say, oh, that's a narcissist. Oh, that person's bipolar. Oh, this person's got BPD or something. And meanwhile, they completely ignore the very basic things of courtesy that they should be doing in their life. And they vilify everyone else, but they refuse to do, I don't know, like put a bag back in the trash can, you know, when they take the trash out. It's like the stupid stuff, you know, the stuff that you're supposed to do. So, but they'll sit for hours and gossip and vilify people through their mental health. Like, and they have no, professional experience mentally diagnosing people. I find that really interesting. It's always the ones that are a mess doing that. And so anyway, she got with an older middle-aged gay man who's deeply insecure, friends with the space I work in, and gossiped about me for a while. This was a while back, but she ended up like, I went to high school with this girl, and she actually dead named me to this kid, to this guy. And this guy was out at dinner with a huge group of my friends, of my clients, and he didn't know. And he's also an alcoholic, deeply insecure. Every person that knows this person knows that he's deeply insecure. And he refused to use like she pronouns with me, and I don't even know this guy. And he knew my dead name. And several of my clients walked away. It ended up being this huge drama and this huge situation. He made fun of women who work out. He's like, women shouldn't work out and get muscles. Like, if like, you know, he just said horrible things. And he knew my dead name, which no one knows because it's been like 20 freaking years. And so I was trying to figure out how he knew, because all my clients contacted me. And it was my coworker who was very supportive of me being trans. She thought I was so beautiful. She's always trying to pretend she's so educated on the subject. And she does his hair, and she outed that information about me. I had expectations of her being very pro and supportive of me being trans, but then down the road, all I did was call her out and say, hey, pack your own lunches, stop eating all the salon snacks. And she actually did that as a response to that, which is awful. I mean, that's one of the worst things you can do to a trans person. And of course, at the time, it caused me a lot of pain. I think I was very frustrated. The first thing I did was actually text her. I didn't say it was her. We both knew. But she tried to quickly cover up. She's panicking. She's freaking out. She's been very careful around me ever since. That was about a year ago. And so I had expectations of her. And she had expectations of me. Her expectations were, since I was the newer person, even though I've been there like 5 years, to do all the dirty work, to clean up after her and do all this nonsense. And that was her expectations of me. And so it goes both ways. These things are something that, but the lesson I learned from that situation was to really realize the reason why that gay guy did that is because he hates himself. And he's obviously a middle-aged gay alcoholic, and no one's more insecure than a middle-aged gay man, especially in the South, because those men have very Christian parents who are very against them. They grew up in horrible environments. So the very few crumbs that they can get a hold of, they're going to defend them, and they're going to stand that ground. But they see a trans woman like me doing anti-stereotypical things like working out and getting muscle, cutting my hair off, doing whatever it is against, they have expectations of trans people. They expect them to be big-tittied, big-lipped, going and getting like huge ass implants, extensions, long hair, and, playing that stereotype. And I'm like, but women aren't all like that. Majority of women aren't like that, but they expect you to counteract masculinity with extreme femininity. And for me, I don't even own dresses anymore. This is a men's shirt. I wear men's pants like pretty much all the time. I don't know why. I'm very much a masculine with feminine nature. It doesn't change anything. Cut my hair off. I did all that. It doesn't change anything. But what has changed is, the LGBT, is our society. Our society has changed. And as a stylist, it's my job to keep up with the times and what we're doing and things like that as a form of expression, because in 10 years it's going to be totally different. We're not even going to have men's and women's clothing sections anymore. It's just going to be clothing. And I feel that if we don't keep up with it, you become like these middle-aged TERFs that hate all trans people because they believe they're attacking them somehow. And they believe that, they have to. So as you age, you get filled with this fear, and you latch onto the other part of this is memories. Expectations and memories have a very, very strong relation, I think, because with memories, you have very wonderful memories, wonderful times. But if you really sat down for a long time and really broke it down, you would realize you weren't that happy then either. Like, you had expectations, and those expectations ended up becoming disappointments. But the things that did happen, you think, oh, that was so fun back then, and it wasn't that much fun. There were other issues. You just forget. It's like you forget. So as you age, you have expectations from society and fears and things like that. So anyway, I went to a gay bar recently, and I dressed very masculine. I wanted to see how it would go. Very masculine, and this was about a month ago. And I was sitting at the bar, and while I was sitting there was all these gay men sitting at the bar, talking with each other. And all very skinny, no muscle, very feminine, little bits of facial hair, very pretty hair. And they're all chatting, and I realized while I was sitting there, I was like, oh my God, I'm more masculine than all the gay men at this bar. I was like, I'm buffer than all of them. And they were all looking at me very lost and confused. But everybody just assumes that I'm a lesbian. Like, I've gotten it so many times. They're like, oh, she's just some diakina. And I'm like, well, no, not really. But I mean, I'm fine with it, but I definitely think I've had my fill a little bit with my masculine little thing. I wouldn't mind actually starting to pull back. And see, that's what life's about. It's like waves. You just go with emotions. You go with how you feel. There is no permanent you. There's no reason to get attached to something too permanently. And expectations of yourself are a bitch. As trans people, we have expectations of ourselves like, oh God, I need a smaller waist, I need a bigger ass, and then they'll come and they'll love me. I need SRS, I need a perfect, beautiful vagina that sprays liquid because I need men to love me for the rest of my life. They're not. They're going to probably cheat. It's probably going to be a shitty time, and we're all going to die in the end, and it sucks. But the thing, people say, oh, well, that's so depressing, It's like, in 100 years, none of us are going to exist. No one's going to remember you. The house you live in is going to be filled with people you don't even fucking know, more than likely. Or it's going to be bulldozed over and not exist. Everything that you know right now is not going to exist in 100 years from now. And so what's the point of doing half the crap we do every day? Like, why don't you just live your life? And I think that's something that we should all remember as we age, especially as trans people. We have expectations too. It goes both ways. We're just only human. So I think it's important to take these things into account when you deal with situations and you deal with people at work or anything like that. And all of that has a lot in common. Anyway, I hope that that made sense. Yeah. Oh yeah, these are my green contacts that one of my clients bought me. They're kind of fun. You can see how, like, they're pretty. Let me see if I can do it. Oh yeah, there's my little brown eye. Oh, it's off to the side. Anyway, I hope that everyone's doing well, and I'm actually gonna go see a movie now. I'm gonna go see the movie Creator. The Creator. I'm excited to go see it. Anyway, I'm glad I could upload another video, and I hope everyone's well, and I'll make more content. Also, thanks for everyone dropping gifts on my Amazon Prime wish list. It is, I think someone bought me the cat box, the warming cat box for the kitty cats outside, which is really exciting, and maybe a pair of earrings that I really wanted. Anyway, I appreciate you guys. I hope you're well, and I will keep you guys updated. Bye.